Welcome. In this video, we will explore one of the areas at Duke Gardens, the Bloomquist Garden of Native Plants, and learn about some of the plants and animals that live there. This is part one of a two-part virtual tour. Here are the 4 Duke Gardens educators who will be guiding you along the way in this video. There's me, Katie, Kavana, Sam, and BJ. We love to share ways to learn through observation, and even though we're not in the garden together, you'll be able to make many observations from the images we share, and we hope that at times you can feel as if you're transported into the garden.
Before we get going, I'm wondering if you have been to Duke Gardens before. If so, have you visited the Bloomquist Garden of Native Plants? Let's take a look at this map of the whole garden, which is 55 acres. The Bloomquist Garden is the gray area, and it is 7 acres. We will follow a path into the garden and stop to observe things along the way. So if you have visited this area before, some things may look familiar. And if you've never been to the garden, you could take this same path on a future visit. We hope to see you all in the garden one day. All right, let's head into the garden. To get to the Bloomquist, we'll enter through the Gothic gates, which is the main entrance to Duke Gardens. If you look at the small map on the top right of the screen, the yellow star shows where we are. We'll trace our path on this map as we go so you can see our progress through the garden. The Gothic gates are named for a special kind of arch shape that comes to a point at the top. Can you find the Gothic arches in this metal gate? What other shapes can you find?
Once you pass through these Gothic gates, you will find yourself on the Cherry Allée. Cherry, because the trees that arch over the path are a type of cherry tree known for their blossoms in the spring. Allée is a word used in garden design to mean a straight pathway between trees or bushes. Can you spy the Duke Chapel peeking over the tree line? Here is a view of the Cherry Allée through the seasons. In the spring, you can see the blossoming trees. In the summer, you can see the shade created by the canopy of green leaves. And in winter, you can see the bare branches of the trees covered in a blanket of snow. What season is missing? What do you think it looks like in the fall? Imagine what it could look like in your mind. You could draw a picture or write a description or tell someone what you think it might look like.
At the end of the Cherry Allée, you'll come to a set of stairs and a ramp that leads you down toward the Roni Fountain. What do you observe in this image? What catches your attention? Do you see the animals in this metal fountain? It is topped by a large bird called a crane. We don't have cranes in Duke Gardens, but we do have great blue herons, which are birds of a similar size. From the fountain, we're going to turn left onto the perennial alley. Perennials are plants that keep growing year after year, though their leaves may turn brown and die in the fall and winter. The whole plant may even disappear underground, where it rests until the following spring, when the temperature warms up and the length of daylight increases. Then new leaves and flowers will emerge and grow.
Now we've arrived at the gatehouse entrance to the Bloomquist Garden of Native Plants. But what is a native plant? A native plant is a plant that has been in a particular place for a very long time, for tens of thousands of years, or even in some cases for millions of years. In the Bloomquist Garden, every plant growing beyond the gatehouse is native to the southeastern United States, which is shown here on the map, from Maryland, south to Florida, and west to Texas. And within this whole area, there are different regions and ecosystems, each with different kinds of plants. An ecosystem is a group of living things that interact with each other in a specific environment. You can see on the map that North Carolina is part of the southeastern US. And here in North Carolina, we have coastal, Piedmont, and mountain regions. Each of those contain different ecosystems, including different kinds of forests, prairies, rivers and wetlands, and more. The gardeners who create the Bloomquist study how plants grow together in their natural habitats so that they can create habitats for these plants in the gardens to help them survive. Let's take a closer look at what's growing in the garden.
Here we are, just inside the gatehouse one spring day. Look around. What are some clues that it is spring? What else do you observe? How is this similar or different from the garden areas we've seen on our walk so far? Remember, the gardeners have carefully designed this whole area so that the plants are growing together in communities as they would be found in their natural habitats. If we were standing together in the garden, from right here, you might be able to hear the sound of running water. Can you imagine what that might sound like? You are a few steps away from a stream that looks as if it has always been here. But it was created in 2015 with 700,000 pounds of rocks, carefully brought into the garden by a skid steer and precisely placed by very skilled human arms. This stream and the others in the garden provide water for the birds, insects, and other animals that live nearby. You can see one of the frogs that lives here. Water is an important part of a habitat for all living things. What else do living things need to survive as part of their habitat?
If we follow the path alongside the stream, we will find a pond. We call it the Millstone Pond because the path across it is made of these large, flat, circular stones called millstones. Millstones were used in grain mills where grains like wheat or corn could be crushed between two of these stones to make flour or cornmeal. Now, some of these stones have found a new home in Duke Gardens. This pavilion is a good spot to sit and rest a moment. Take a deep breath. When you slow down and keep your body quiet and still, you'll have a better chance of spotting some of the animals that live in the pond. In the spring and summer, you might even hear something like this. And if you follow the sound, you might spot something like this frog. You may find other creatures living below the water, like tadpoles, or even on the surface of the water, like this water strider and fishing spider. You could see turtles or insects that start their life cycles in water, like mosquitoes and dragonflies. Near the Millstone Pond, if you know where to look, you'll find a group of plants growing close to the ground with heart-shaped leaves. These are called wild gingers. Their leaves are found low to the ground, shielding their even lower blossoms. You'll have to get down on hands and knees to find the little brown jug's blossom that looks like, of course, a little brown jug. Why so close to the ground? If you were one of the pollinators, an ant, you'd want to be able to climb in easily so that you could gnaw your way into the seed pod and carry the seed and its tasty side part, the Eliasum, back to your ant colony for your ant babies. You discard the seed into the colony's compost pile, which is a great place for that seed to germinate and start a new wild ginger plant.
A winding path will lead you to the bird viewing shelter, which is shaped like a giant birdhouse. Keep your body still and quiet for 30 seconds, then count the birds that come to the feeders. You might see a Carolina chickadee, or you might hear its call, which sounds like this. You might spot a red feathered cardinal or a brown cardinal, a nuthatch climbing head first down a tree trunk, a red-bellied woodpecker like the one pictured here, or others like a downy woodpecker or a yellow-bellied sapsucker. Will any acrobatic squirrels manage to find a way up to the seeds today? If you are ready for a break, this is a good place to pause and rest a while. Remember, the longer you sit quietly, the more you'll see and hear around you. And if you'd like to continue on with us as we explore the rest of the garden, join us for part 2 of this virtual tour. We'll visit a few other spots in the Bloomquist Garden, like the prairie, the sunny pond, and the wildlife garden. Thanks for coming along this far, and we hope you'll join us for part 2.